Hey guys, this is Earl, aka Pragma Once from Maven, and I've been noticing a lot of different attacks going against bases that I'm not sure are ideal for those attacks, style of attacks. So I was talking to Fuel Dude about this. Um, was talking to G-Man about it, and I searched around for a video um, that would essentially show what I'm talking about, and I couldn't really find a good one. I saw the base selection video on our forums. I watched that. Jake from One Hive did that video. I'm gonna go way off the reservation and disagree with Jake's approach a little bit. I don't think that the substance of the video, for the most part, is wrong. Um, what he's primarily saying is that if you're a guy that likes to run hogs, then you need to be able to pick a base that's good for hogs, and that's absolutely right. I would just go a step further though and say that you might like to run hogs, but hogs is not what every base needs. So it's kind of a different approach. What you really want to be able to do is to have several different kinds of builds so that when a base is not hoggable, you have other options. So to me, this all comes down to, as opposed to base selection, strategy selection. So given a base that you're up against, what strategy is best for that base? The underlying assumption here that I believe is absolutely true is that not every strategy is best for every base. About TH7, everybody figures out that dragon attacks are awesome and work really well with lightning. And kind of get into this mindset about TH7 that, wow, if I just figure out that one 3-star build, I'm good to go. That's not true because along comes mid TH8 up to max TH8, and the game becomes more difficult, and it becomes even more difficult in T9, significantly more so. And not one strategy will work every time. Um, so what you have to do is be able to have several strategies under your belt to essentially be able to pick the best one no matter what base you're going against, starting about mid TH8. So that requires understanding the different builds, understanding what their strengths are, etc. I don't think this is covered very well in a lot of videos. I think the strategy videos, like, hey, here's how to do go wipe, here's how to use hogs, here's how to do a go vaho, here's how to do a go wee wee, go wipe, etc. They're all great videos. What a lot of them leave out is how to pick the right base, or yeah, what the right base is, what the strengths of that build are relative to the bases that you're facing. So that's what this video is for. I couldn't find a good one that kind of captures all the information I wanted to put out there. So I decided to make my own. Um, so I'm going to start with TH8s. I'm just going to walk through some bases, kind of show you the process I go through. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I think my record in war shows that I'm relatively successful. I'm not a pro. I can't spend the time to 3-star 100% of the time or anything like that, but I do pretty well. And I see this as a weakness in our clan right now, and so I'm making this video to try to help us out. So I'm gonna do something. So the approach I'm gonna take here is I'm just gonna go back to our previous war. Actually, we were just looking at that, huh? So view map. I'm going to start with something kind of a weak attack by me, but it'll kind of demonstrate um, what. Oh no, this was the previous war. Okay, so let's just pause this here and look at this base. Um, as you're looking at this base, you can see the layout right away. You've got the ADs are in the core. You got several spaces, and sort of what I do in my mind is either think of kind of my favorite build, or alternatively, just the most popular ones. So when you're staring at a base, kind of go through the different strategies in your mind. You say dragons. Okay, dragons might be okay here. I mean, they're level 5 ADs. If you have level 3 dragons and you got max rage, you'd probably be okay. You could probably come up with a strategy. I mean, the overall defense here is pretty weak. The wizard tower there is pretty weak. Let me see if I can get this drawing tool to work. Yeah, so you've got this Wiz Tower is pretty weak, and you could basically bring dragons, kind of create a funnel like this, drop your loons to come in like this once this level is clear, and you could probably manage to take this down with dragons. Um, However, I like to be a little more versatile. You might say, okay, well, I don't like dragons. I want to use hogs. Okay, well, let's look at that. So clear that, and here's the problem with this base with hogs. I always assume giant bombs are upgraded, and so we basically can start marking off all the places there could be. Oh, not that one. One sec. Start marking off all the places there could be giant bombs. And it pretty quickly becomes apparent to me that hogs are not ideal for this base. There's just too many places where your hogs can die, right? Now, obviously, TH8 only has 3 giant bombs, but they can be anywhere. This is a first attack. We don't know where they are. So now I'm just kind of mentally checking off hogs as being a viable strategy in my mind. Um, so, what are our other options? Well, ground attack. So, I've actually been, I upgraded my Valks and my Golems on my TH8, and I've been having a lot of success with that. So that's what I decided to do, was essentially, and I thought this would actually be a pretty easy kill, and it turned out to be. Essentially just bring the Golems in here. They're going to take fire from all of this. Wizards are going to take out all of this, and then just bring my Golems straight in. They might bounce out like this, but that's no big deal. And then I can use hogs to pick off these outside defenses. It turned out that's exactly what happened. So let's just walk through it real quick. We'll speed it up. So yeah, as I was looking at this base, I thought, okay, I could do this with dragons. It would probably work. But I like the ground attacks a little more. They're a little more fun to execute. And again, because of all those giant bombs, turns out he didn't have hardly anything in the core there. But that's just to give you an idea of the thought process. Let's go back and look at my second attack in this war, which we already watched. But I'm just going to show you the thought process here. So again, just going through the process here. I'm looking at this base. Okay, he's got the 3 ADs in the core, maxed. And unlike the previous base, most of his defenses are upgraded, right? These ATs and wizard towers. This is going to be a pretty difficult base to drag a loon. The fan is pointed toward the one area where you might want to bring dragons in from, like this. And so really you're left with kind of bring them in this way, or bring them in like this. But you've got a lot of distance there between, you got to take out like all this stuff here or all this stuff here. That's just a ton of buildings. Meanwhile, your dragons are getting pelted by the ATs. And, of course, the clan castle is going to come out, cause damage, etc. So on this particular base, I really didn't feel like dragons were viable. I thought, they probably wouldn't be able to 3-star. So what's next on the list, right? Let's just go down the list. It's hogs. Okay, well, let's look. This is a double giant bomb spot, which is nasty versus hogs. Another DGB spot. a giant bomb spot, giant bomb spot, giant bomb, giant bomb, giant bomb, giant bomb, giant bomb, DGBs, right? I mean, just look at that. We essentially, so this, my attack was a second attack, but we actually, not many bombs were uncovered. We only knew of one right there. So still didn't have much information about this base. Um, so to me, in my mind, if you can't eliminate most of these giant bombs with a ground attack and then hogs on the back end, then it's just not viable. I mean, it's just not going to work. So my idea was, because there's so many giant bomb spots, I'm going to go to ground attack. And what I want to do is basically say, okay, I want to be able to funnel my troops in. So, of course, on the replay that we saw earlier, I kind of brought the golem in here. I brought witches in my CC. That's going to give us a lot of skeletons to eat out, fill in these spaces and kind of eat up the gaps. Let me address real quick, since this is all about base selection, why I didn't go with the Govaho. It's because the base is mostly spread out. You can see all these spaces in here, right? Valks are much better on a base that's much more compact. So the reason I decided to go with witches and wizards, more wizards than I usually use, and I even brought a Pika. I'll tell you why about that in a second. Is because I wanted something that could, basically do a lot of tanking, which witches and Pika and Golem are good for, and then deal, of course, deal the damage. And with the Skellies, you're hoping is they're going to basically, trip the big bombs. I also am not a fan of rage with witches because I feel, and wizards, on an attack like this, I feel like they get out ahead of the golem, and you really want the golem to sort of lead the way and tank for you. So let's just run through this real quick. We already watched it earlier, but it essentially worked out exactly to plan. As you can see, this isn't random. That big bomb, that giant bomb exploding up there, that was one of the places we marked, right? We didn't know it was there. But the golem leads the way. He eats it, no problem. Now we've got everything moving in. I wanted the course for the backside, as I think of it. I dropped them. I'm going to pause it right here. I actually dropped my hogs right here because if you look at it, this little group of buildings right here has no space for a giant bomb to be in the middle of it. So the idea was I'm going to drop my hogs here thinking that they can go after this little core of buildings. They might die to a giant bomb there, and I already know there's one there. But I don't care, as you'll see as we, go ahead and play this, I don't really care about the hogs dying. They're not crucial to me finishing this off. They did their job. I got 2 archer towers and 2 cannons down with them, plus they got in on the action and a couple mortars. That's more than enough from 10 hogs. 50 pop. I'm fine with that because the rest of the squad is going to take them all out. So that's sort of the thought process. Now I'm going to go on this last war for me. I'm going to go to our current war and just kind of look at the same thing. So I'm number 11. I usually don't horse around and try to figure out a base. I like to just go straight to my mirror. I feel like I should always be able to beat my mirror. And so I'm going to stare at this base, for a couple of seconds and realize pretty quickly this base could be destroyed by hogs. So just staring at it, like doing what we were doing before. Let's get rid of those. Sure, you could probably take this with dragons. This is really poorly positioned for dragons. I mean, his defense is very poor against dragons, right? You basically bring your wedge like this. Loons come in, boom. Once you get these 2 down, you're probably going to be able to just rage in and kill the entire core with your loons. So you could easily drag a loon this 105. But of course, we know hogs are way more fun than dragons. So what do you want to do? As I'm looking at it, you basically got some GB spot there, GB spot there, potentially there, maybe one there, maybe one there. Honestly, though, how much do we care about these? Like, we don't care, don't care, don't really care, don't care, don't care. So basically, what we're saying, and the reason we don't care about these is because there's no defenses on the outside of them, right? The hogs aren't going to travel like through this spot or through this spot because there's no defense there. I mean, there's that cannon right there. But these are, if you're even worried about that, easy thing to do, drop a hog right there, one hog as you're doing the CC pull. Boom, any giant bomb goes off, right? Same thing over here. If you're worried about a giant bomb there, just drop one, and you can even do that while you're pulling the CC. So this is an easy base to hog, no question. Let's go look at a couple other ones. So it looks like they've got some Rush TH9s in here. We'll go ahead and look at those because our TH8s might be up against them. Easy hog base. Need I say more? There's no giant bomb spots. So again, just going through our progression, you might say air base. Sure, yeah, he's got the baby ADs. Sure, Dragon or Hug. Again, Dragon or Hug. He's got. Well, let me back up. This guy might be a little tricky only because he does have the GB spots here, right? Now, one thing I do know, just from experience, people love putting Teslas next to their town halls. So he's probably got Teslas there. Also, again, baby ADs. Why do we really care about going hogs? You can crush this with dragons. Although he does have 4 ADs, so I would think that hogs would actually be preferable here. I usually don't like to gamble and say that those are Teslas when they could be giant bombs. But another thing is, if you notice, all inside here, not a single defense, right? Unless there's Teslas in there. If there's Teslas in there, though, then there's no giant bombs. There's not enough space. So that means you're not only do your hogs not have to worry about any giant bombs out here around the defense, but you know that your hogs are going to go in a circular direction around this core because there's no defense in the core for the hogs to go after. So, in my opinion, this is an easy hog base. Let's go up to the next one. So this is TH8. It's a decent base. So let's take a look. This one's actually a little more interesting. We've got a double giant bomb spot there, a GB spot there, a GB spot there, potential GB, probably a Tesla, potential GB. Okay, so this one's a little more intriguing. So let's go through the progression. Dragons. Sure, you could probably dragon this with, he's got the level 5 AD. Set up your funnel like so. Dragons come in. Loons take that easily once this level is down. And then they're just going to go up and eat up the core. It could work. I mean, he's got some, aside from the level 5 ADs, yeah, well, we probably don't want to go against that. So let's scratch that point. Probably want to bring your funnel this way, actually, because of the fan right here. I'd missed that. Probably funnel like that. And then as soon as that AT goes down, yeah, I don't know. Again, dragons are just more fun. I mean, hogs are just more fun, right? So let's go ahead and throw that away. And so what you could do for hogs is you could basically throw down a hog right out here to try to trigger a GB there. I think he would go in there. He might go out to that, to there. Either way, another way to deal with this, not that I want to turn this into a lesson on hogging, but if I were going to go after this, one way to do this would be to throw a golem down so he's going in. CC comes out. You've got wizards and maybe a witch, and so they're basically going to eliminate this space so that you don't have to worry about it anymore. Then let's say you've got 20 or so hogs. You could throw a few this way. And then if there's a GB there, they're gonna trigger it on their way by, right? Um, and so you might lose 3 or 4 hogs, but they're gonna get off on into the core and kind of come out around this way. So you would say 3 hogs to come over and grab this one, and I think you're fine. Point is that when you're hogging, you want to have a plan for every DGB spot, for every giant bomb spot, for every double giant bomb. DGB is double giant bomb. For every double giant bomb spot, for every giant bomb spot, you got to have a plan. You can't just wing it. You'll get lucky sometimes, for sure. People do. But I think more often what I see is people getting unlucky and losing. So let's look at, oops. Alright, let's just grab, there's not very many good bases in this war, is there? I think you guys are getting the idea, though. Honestly, everything I've been talking about is all first attacks. Second attacks are significantly different because you generally know what you're up against, right? I'm looking for, okay, this is a decent one, so let's pause here. This base, not ideal for dragons with level 6 ADs. His ATs aren't upgraded, so that's a little better. You could make up a plan that would probably be pretty plausible to drag a loon from this direction. Send your loons in like so once this layer goes down. And you could probably get away with, raging in here and getting that core. It'd probably work. Hogs are out, right? I mean, these are giant bomb spots for sure. In fact, this is a second attack. I know they are. And there's a giant bomb here and 2 giant bombs here. So it just means if you're going to try to hog this, it's a complete crapshoot. You might get lucky. And even if you do surgical deployment, I mean, you could do the, and they're all running in. And then all of a sudden, these guys decide to come down here and group up with these guys here. And then before you know it, you've got, a big pile of bacon right there. So don't get fooled into thinking that surgical deployment is going to solve all your giant bomb problems, because it isn't. I decided to go after this with Govaho, primarily because there's basically get through this wall, and then everything's going to just funnel straight into the core, and that's what I want with my Valks. This is a nice tight grouping. See, these buildings are pretty tightly packed. It's not like a really tightly packed core altogether, but the buildings are next to. If you can visualize your Valks hitting multiple buildings, most of the time, that's what you're looking for. There's really, and obviously this stuff is very tightly packed. And since I know the GBs are here, we already know they're not out here. This is great for hogs on the back end. So your Valks aren't going to die to giant bombs. You're gonna get your Valks in here. They're gonna tear up the core, and then we bring in, as I was planning this attack, you can see I bring in the hogs here. What I'm thinking is these 4 defenses right here, there's absolutely nothing that's going to hurt hogs right there. Throw down a heal, they're going to survive, they live, they end up coming out around this way. But you've completely avoided them getting into this core where they're going to die. So let's just run through it in case you haven't seen it. We'll do it real fast. Brought the wall breakers to get through that first level. Once the Valks go in, they're not going anywhere else but into the core. Throw down a heal so that they can tank the clan castle. The Valks actually bust in right there. Now everything's in the core. Throw down another heal. Those Teslas, fine, no problem for Valks. And you can see I had 10 hogs, and they're just eating away, right? You don't need 32 hogs to hog a base. You just need hogs that are alive. That's what you need. And this was a blowout. I mean, it wasn't even close. So all about strategy selection. really. All right, I think we covered TH8 enough. TH9 is very similar. All of the same things I'm talking about. The big difference is that when you go up to TH9, um, you just have more strategies in play, right? I'm looking at this base as a TH9. I can see that there's a double giant bomb spot there, there's a double giant bomb spot there, there's a double giant bomb spot there, and there's one there. Okay, this is a pretty huggable base. Not only that, but if we're looking at, he's got upgraded ADs, he's got his fans, his upgraded ADs fairly well spread. By the way, this is the general. It's a very common internet base that I've studied a bit, but just doing the evaluation. You know, he's got upgraded ADs. He's got level 3 expos. His fans are, you know, central and facing out. So this isn't an airbase. We don't want to run a lava loon at this. Essentially, because I know the giant bombs can only be in these 4 locations to hurt me. Potentially they're here, but honestly nobody ever puts walls around giant bombs. So I'm pretty confident that these spots are Teslas, and I'm not worried about single giant bombs anyway. The only thing I'm worried about at TH9 is the double giant bomb. So we've got these 4 locations. So here's my plan. If I bring my kill squad in like this, I'm going to eliminate this giant bomb spot. Either they're going to trigger it, basically, blow it up, or they're going to take out all this D so that it doesn't, my hogs are never going to go over there. Same thing with this one. Same idea. They're either going to trigger it or they're going to take out the D and no problem. Now I'm down to 2 giant bomb spots left. Okay. Up here at the one at the top, if I bring hogs like this, 3 each, and I think I threw some at that AT as well. At most, I'm going to lose 4 or 5 hogs to a double giant bomb there. And by the way, I sincerely doubted there was a double there. I thought there might be a single. I think I threw a heal there. Where I thought there was for sure a double giant bomb was right there. It's nice and it's in the core, surrounded by defense. You know, it's okay. It's not ideal to trap hogs from a defensive perspective, but it's okay. So here is my strategy. I've got my kill squad is already going in, right? I want to drop boom, boom, boom. Then drop a bunch here, like 7 hogs coming in, okay? And the idea, and then drop 3 more, another couple packs there. With the idea being that they're going to path like this, and they're going to trigger this one of the giant bombs first. That this group comes in, triggers 1 giant bomb. Then, when these guys show up, and the rest of this group shows up, and these guys are coming in around this way now, that they'll trigger the 2nd giant bomb later. So basically trigger them 1 at a time. And that's ideal. That's what you want. Level 5 hogs can survive the double giant bombs, right? And it worked out. The whole thing worked out exactly like I wanted. My single loons didn't really play like I wanted to, but if we slow it down here, the kill squad has come in. You can see the cannon is taken out up top there. The hogs are never going to go to that spot. And down below also. Now I start bringing them in the ring. And yeah, so the hogs up top live. And then just like I wanted, boom, 1 bomb. I've already got a heal down, so then that second one goes off. Doesn't matter. Game over. I mean, the guy doesn't have anything left that can hurt me. He's got 1 single giant bomb left. I don't think it even gets triggered. I think the hogs actually just go around it, or yeah, I don't even remember where it is. So yeah, I didn't really want this to turn into a tutorial on how to attack, but more about base evaluation. But that's to show you that I didn't think that base was any good for hogs, and it turned out that was right. So this one, we also had a replay. This was a 2nd attack. So, but just to go through it, I thought maybe giant bomb there, giant bomb there. I already knew there was a double there. Again, people love putting Teslas around their TH, especially in that V formation. So you don't want to, if you're going to make an educated guess that those are not giant bombs, okay, fine, have a plan. I just thought if I bring hogs like this, that they'll trigger those singles and no problem. I'll just have a heal there. That's not a double giant bomb spot. So this is a pretty weak base against hogs, easily hoggable, as long as you get the kill squad right coming in from here. So I'm not going to do that replay, but there's other replays. I haven't used Valks for a couple wars. I actually sat out the war before this, couple wars, and so I don't think I did as well. Or that was the one we were just looking at. And in this current war, I was just hogging as well. But I'm a big fan of Govaho as well, and Govaloon. I do have. Let's get rid of this. I do have that. A couple of videos on YouTube where I'm doing the Govaloon, Govaho, the AQ walk. And the reason I'm bringing that up is just to point out that these aren't things I'm doing because I, just want to on a lark. I'm doing it because I've evaluated the base and think that it's weakest to those attacks. The reason I use several different strategies in war is because the bases require that you use several different strategies in war. And so anytime you see someone using the same attack over and over and over against the same base, against every base, they're going to be successful sometimes, especially if they're half decent at the game, but they're not going to be as successful as somebody that doesn't do that. Again, they're not going to be as successful as somebody that picks a strategy that's tailored to the base that you're facing. And I'm talking about even down to picking the number of wizards based on the number of buildings that you're trying to set up in your in your funnel. So let me show you that real quick, since I didn't cover it before. Okay. Oh, I got two more. Two. Okay. So I picked this specific number of wizards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because I knew exactly how many buildings I wanted to knock down, right? And so if you're looking for some magic build number, like build this many wizards with this many golems and this many Valks and this many hogs, that again, you're approaching it wrong. Once you've selected the strategy, right? Okay, I'm going to use Govaho on this base because I can see an easy path for my Valks to get into the core. Then my hogs can take the outside. Now, how many of each thing? That's the next question, right? And so you just want to kind of tailor it. I went with 6 Valks and 9, or basically 9 Valks because I have 3 in my CC. Because I knew that it's a pretty strong core in terms of, I knew there were 3 DGBs in the middle, or giant bombs, 3 giant bombs in the middle. So I wanted a lot of tanking power, to go in the middle. And I didn't want the hogs to have to do much. I wanted them to be able to, kind of the idea was a lot of firepower, and heft from the Valks, and then just sort of bring in the hogs as support. They're just coming in from the backside. So you got to think through those things. How many wizards do I need? How many of this? How many of that? If you've watched my TH9 hog attacks, sometimes I use 2 golems, sometimes I use 1 golem. And it's always because I've decided, this golem can live long enough, or, I need 2. I need them to survive longer, and that sort of a thing. Now, a lot of this stuff just comes from experience. But step 1 is recognizing that not every strategy is right for every base, and selecting the strategy that has the best chance of getting a 3-star for the base you're facing. So that's it, guys. I hope this makes sense. I hope you got something from this. I know I'm not around much in game. I got a pretty busy life, but when I am around, I'd be glad to help you with your strategies, or help you select a strategy, evaluate a base anytime. So good luck. Dash on, guys.